Oh, you heard that, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just testing because I don't like what's been going on when we try to do it at the last minute. We had a successful test yesterday with Blade, and someone called in, and we actually heard them, and he played the intro and the outro and the commercials, and we actually heard them. So, how you doing today, Adrienne? Good. So we're on for lunch next Wednesday at 10:30ish around.
Yeah.
Cool. That should give you plenty of time to do your whatever, your physical therapy.
Yeah.
What are you doing physical therapy for?
A bunch of stuff. I'll tell you all about it.
And you're doing it here in LA because you found somebody, obviously, and your dog is still there.
My dog is with
Now,
me. Yes.
I noticed you don't have headphones on, so how is that affecting feedback? What have you?
How is the dog affecting?
No, the fact that you don't have headphones and the fact that you're listening through your speaker in the can you
no,
hear?
that's all fine.
Okay.
Now I'm not listening with the headphones. They're downstairs. I'm still in in bed. I have a little bit of a cold today.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking about making some short recordings, like anyway, to just do this, and we can.
That would be terrific.
Yeah, and we can. What should we talk about? Let's just take 5 or 10 minutes. If you have 5 or 10 minutes, or if you only have 5, that's good.
If you shut up, I would, but
put him on your lap. I think he just wants to be near you.
And I'm here, and she's barking at him.
Well, put her on your lap.
Okay, I could do that.
Yes, that'll keep her quiet, right?
Get over here. Come on. Now she'll shut up.
So I named this little video, and this is a really cool way of doing videos, actually, I think.
Yeah.
And we can maybe just do a web page and just put them on there. I don't know.
Sure.
Any of you out there, let's talk about burnout. Do you have it yet? Do you have it yet? Which means, right? It's not like if you're going to have it, it's when you're going to have it, right?
No.
I mean, do you agree, or am I just being negative?
I think it's a matter of degree, but yeah, I think it's one of those things that sneaks up on you. A lot of people think that they're just better than that, but it's not going to happen to them. But that's not
denial. So, have you experienced some burnout? And when does a person typically know they're burned out? Is it too late, or can they see the signs? The signs of burnout before it happens and do something about it, or is that almost impossible?
I think you feel the signs. I do think you feel the signs, and you don't want to bother the person that you're caring for with your what you perceive as weakness, because you're supposed to be there and be strong. And
that's right. Caregiver, Superman,
Right. So it's very, very hard. Relinquishing that sense of control, because you're really admitting I can't control it all anymore, and that's what you sort of feel that you've been needed to do.
And a lot of times people think that this is unique to them. They probably don't think anyone else is going through this. They have this isolation mentality. It's only happening to me. Nobody would understand. I can't share it.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of the reasons that being able to talk and share is so important, to find out that no, you're not the only person going through this. It's very common. Everyone goes through it to a certain degree. Some people are very bitter about it. Other people want to just be heroes and go through it and just plow on through, and then they really feel like they've been smoked.
Yeah. And, we're both in the caregiving, helping business, but we do two different, almost totally different things. I mean, I'm here on the radio trying to give people information, and you've got an amazing platform where people can just go in there and talk in chat rooms and blogs. Explain basically why coming to your website or your Facebook page will just change their lives.
Well, when I was a caregiver, the internet was, Facebook had just gotten started when Steve got really sick, to put things in perspective.
Your husband.
In 2005, when he was first diagnosed, and I was still strong and eager and fine with all of it.
And young.
It was really, this part of it was in its infancy. So as someone who began to need companionship and friendship from other people who were caregivers, I had found some of the chat rooms on the cancer sites that I could chat with. And I finally found a site where they had weekly groups, and you had to be approved to join the group to make sure that you fit into the mix, that your qualifications suited everybody else's, so that we would have something to give other people.
Sure.
And I fit, and it was very, very interesting that at the Thanksgiving before Steve passed away, their husbands started to die. There were like 6 deaths from Thanksgiving on. Wow. And it was like, okay, am I next? Am I next? Am I next? And that was the feeling. You knew that it was going to happen, but when was it going to happen? And I wanted to stay in touch with these women. And one of the qualifications for the site was that you be a caregiver and not be an after caregiver. And they had a separate room for after care. So all of these women you cared so much with vanished. And they never went to the other rooms because they felt they didn't fit. And at first I was starting a place for us all to meet again. And then I just thought, well, this works. Let's really do it. Let's make this Facebook for caregivers is essentially what I had hoped for. But I had no idea where Facebook was going at the time.
So you've got a place for people who are not caregivers anymore, right?
Right. We've got a place for parents and siblings and teens, because young caregivers are a very big part of the population, and they're very rarely acknowledged the way they should be. So we have a big push for them, lots of articles for them. You have, of course, spouses, and both male and female, and you have widows and widowers, as well as spouses. That's not to say you're not a spouse anymore, but as a widow, your needs become different.
Yeah, when my wife had a stroke, she was 52 years old, which, I mean, when I was 30, 52 sounded like really old, but 52 is young, for those of you who don't know. And I mean, she looks like she's 30, and I'm 62. People tell me I look younger than I am. So, we came from good genetic genes that we look younger. Some people come from bad genetic genes. They look older. But anyway,
that's all right now, but I look pretty good. Yeah.
Oh, you're beautiful. You're of the former group, and I'm not even going to ask you how old you are. No, she looks good for 92, doesn't she?
Older than you.
So we went to a stroke support group for her. And
Mhm.
I mean, gosh, they were like 92 years old, 85 years old. I mean, these are old people that look like they had one foot in the grave, and she just did not like it at all.
It's that,
And
yes.
so, yeah, and
You
it turned her off to the whole thing.
have to
Finally, we
find that.
found. Go ahead.
You have to find where you belong,
Yeah.
and it takes some searching.
Yeah. Well, 20 years ago, it was even harder because
Absolutely.
it didn't exist. And while we were in the hospital, somebody started a caregiver group for young people, quote, quote, young people, because only 20%, we're told, it was a stroke group as well.
Right.
20% of people who have strokes are young, like under 50. Some as young as in their 20s. You know, this
Wow.
young mother, 3 small children, had a brainstem stroke. And I mean, my gosh, you know, here we thought we had it bad. Our children were all grown up, but I just can't even imagine that happening. So we joined that one, and it was better.
As
But
a
even,
couple, you joined as a
yeah,
couple. That's good.
well, they have 2 groups. We come together and then they separate. So the caregivers go in one room and the stroke people go in the other room. And I think they talk about each other, about how, a place to vent. And so I
That
would say, she doesn't give me, time to myself. I'm always have to be there, and you hear other people say that and say, wow, yeah, me too, and so you get a lot of me too's,
and
which is
that's
good.
where you're carrying around a lot of guilt
Yeah.
that I resent having to do this so much, even though you'd have it no other way. Um, you need a place to be able to vent and say,
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to take this another day. And yet you know that you're going to go on and do it.
Yeah.
So I wanted a space where people would feel free to vent and where people would feel free to grieve and
Yeah.
pre-grieve and all of those things. It became um, a very big vision. Um,
And you grew very rapidly, apparently.
yes, we grew very rapidly. Uh, I I hope that it continues to grow as rapidly as we add features. It should attract different people.
Yeah.
Um, there's like Al-Anon or Gam-Anon for people who are married to people with the problem, or friends of those people. Sometimes I think that people who are friends of caregivers
Yeah.
need to know what they can do, so they need a place to go also. And I
Yeah.
would like I would like to attract those people too. That was just, the other day
Yeah.
we were talking about how can I help? Well, be specific. You know, the person who's offering should be able to come back and say, I want to help you. How can I help you?
Yeah.
It shouldn't. The caregivers got so much to think about that there's no shame in not being able to ask if you can't think on the spur of the moment what you need. But it's nice to have friends that care enough to ask, what exactly do you need me to do for you right now?
Yeah. So just to recap, if we're talking about burnout, the number one thing I think I hear you saying, and I would agree, is support.
Support.
You
The
need
feeling,
support.
the feeling of isolation, I think, is the one thing that caregivers will start to feel right before they start to feel the feeling of burnout, is that they're very alone. And there are so many different organizations that say you are not alone. Well, it's certainly that way with caregiving. there are so many people. The statistics are so impressive that there's no reason to have to go through it alone. Your experience will be an isolated experience, but you can have the support of other caregivers and people who've been there before.
Yeah. And how do they get to your site again, or your Facebook page?
Well, the site is thecaregiverspace.org, and you need to put the in front of it. Don't forget that. Thecaregiverspace.org. The Facebook page is the same. I just put the Caregiver Space on the Facebook page, and it goes. And if you want to contact me, it's Adrienne, ADRIENNE, at thecaregiverspace.org. And I answer my email.
It really does. And so here on Blab, we're open to a whole new audience. I think our first show had 81 views in just the first week, and I have to look it up. And it's on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
And so we have now 6 places that a person can either watch or listen to our show. So our audience is growing tremendously. And that would be iTunes, it would be Blog Talk Radio, it would be the Health Star Worldwide Network, it would be YouTube, it would be Blab, and it would be my website, which is thecaregiverscaregiver.com. And like I said, we will offer you a free quiz to see if you're a candidate for burnout. And just for doing that, I'm going to give you a free copy of my first book, One Arm, One Leg, 100 Words, Overcoming Unbelievable Hardships. And that's a story about my wife and I and how we made it through our struggle 20 years now with a smile on our face and hope in our heart that everything's going to be okay. It's not like it was, but you know what? What is? This country's not like it was. So it's the new normal that we all have to get used to. So thank you, Adrienne, for coming on, and I appreciate it. And I'm glad that this blab went well, because sometimes it doesn't, but we're getting the hang of it. So God bless you and have a great day. And thanks for coming on. Bye-bye.
You're very welcome.
I'll see you Wednesday.
Yep.
So let me just reiterate who I am, Dave the Caregiver's Caregiver. And you can come to our website, caregiverscaregiver.com, and you can get that free book that I'm offering. It's not actually a free book. It's a $10 value, but I'm offering it to you free if you just take our short quiz, Are You a Candidate for Burnout? So that's caregiverscaregiver.com. Thank you for listening, and we'll do a lot more of these. Thank you.